panel is where you have different people from different stakeholders. We just ask a few questions, they respond, and then also we'll have an open session for them also to be asked by the ones in the room. Maybe there's something they said or they did not say that you want clarification. Lisa, so we want to start and want everyone to give his attention because you'll get a lot of information about cross-border trade in agroecology or just in agriculture in general from the different stakeholders. So, I want, as I read the panel, naomba muwakaribishe na makofi. You know, just sitting here in front of people is also something we need to acknowledge. Si kila mtu atakubali kukaa hapa, aulize maswali. Ni kweli? So for them to just even allow themselves to come here and being asked questions, that's for me that's a good start. Sindio? So the first person I want to invite is from county government of Busia, Department of Trade, Mr. Michael Maloba. Makofi ya Mr. Michael. Thank you. The next person is from COA, Kenya Organic Agriculture Network, Mr. Wycliffe Nyamao. Karibu. The next presenter or panel is Madam Christine Kalui from KEBS, Kenya Bureau of Standards. Our next speaker or panel is Mr. Eli Mutai from Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA. And our fifth panel is a farmer from Busia. Jui kama yuko? Okay. Anaitwa Angeline Ebu from Busia. Okay. Now we have a series of questions for them just to trigger the conversation, but then we'll have an open session later. So I want to direct a question, Mr. Michael, as a representative of government of Busia. What is the county government doing to support agroecological farmers who are involved in trade, cross-border trade? Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon once again. My name is Michael Maloba, Deputy Director Trade, Busia County. Under the Department of Trade, the Directorate of Trade and Markets promote trade through various functions. One, we do enterprise development, whereby we capacity build traders on good trading practice. Secondly, we do business advisory services. Under the same promoting, we also offer flexible loans to traders engaging in general trade, those involved in agroecological trade and the other parts that are involved in inorganic trade. The second function of the directorate, we create enabling environment for our traders to do business through construction of markets across the county. Action of the directorate, we ensure fair trade practices under a unit called weight and measures that ensures calibration of products before they are consumed by the consumers. Beside the Directorate of Trade, we also have a Directorate of Cooperative Enterprise Development Fund that offers loans to societies or cooperatives. that are registered within Busia County.
Thank you. The next question is to COA, Kenya Organic Agriculture Movement. In terms of agroecology products, we know that there are certifications that are needed for people to do trade. And for us to do trade in East Africa, you need the organic mark, the organic Ilmohai mark. So what are the requirements for a farmer who wants to be certified to do trade across borders? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is once again Wycliffe Nyamao from Kenya Organic Agriculture Network, abbreviated as COAN. COAN is a network of farmers and farmer groups and other organizations. We do a lot of research and disseminate information. We have very strong resourceful material that you can read and also utilize in your production system. In our website, you can learn more, especially for those who want to go organic or agroecological. We have alternatives to pesticides that you can use and your product is certified. One thing I want to talk about, the question is certification. Whenever COAN does certification, it does not do to a product. Certification is done to a process, starting from the seeds, location of the farm, what you are going to do, how you are going to do it, the produce itself, transportation, handling. If the process is well, that's when you are certified. Certification by COAN is two-way. One is organic, two is agroecological. Organic is based on standards. Agroecology is based on principles. Once you are certified, you are given a mark that you put on your produce. And I want to show you, this is the mark that is usually given to produce which are organic. If your product is organic, this is the mark you are given, you put on your product. Then the product, if it's found in the market, it can be differentiated from the rest as being organic. This is the mark that is put on products that are differentiated as agroecological. Therefore, it is very important that you understand that whenever you meet a product with this mark, you know what it is. This mark is given and put on a specific product, but I said earlier that COAN does not certify a product, it certifies a process. One of the main requirements is compliance with the standards. You must comply with the standards for you to be certified. That is, for example, we have the East Africa Organic Product Standard that you must comply for you to be certified. This one requires that you meet or you cover all the processes, including production. If you are doing value addition, processing, handling, and also the labeling of the product for it to be certified agroecological or organic. Second requirement is the certification process. You cannot be certified once. There is assessment that is done starting from your farm or the market. And as I've explained, COAN issues these marks. But certification is done by third parties. In Africa, we have a number of third parties that do certification. Number one, we have AfriCert. That is a body that does certification. We don't force anybody to use any of these organizations. The cost and also your preference is okay. Two, we have the KeyCert, we have the OCA, we have NCert, and the ACert. These are 5 certification bodies. The moment they certify you, they communicate with the COAN to issue with the mark. Once you are issued with the mark, now the product can go to the market as either organic or agroecological. Therefore, the process itself can be done by an individual or a group. If you have the resources, you can get your process certified as an individual. Sometimes certification becomes expensive, and we encourage small-scale farmers to form groups, monitor themselves, and they are organized in what my sister said in the morning, participatory guarantee systems, where they monitor one another, control the process as a whole, from production all the way to marketing. Number 3 is about traceability under certification, the requirement. Your product must be traced to the source. If it is found in Uganda, we must have a criteria of tracing it to Kajiado and say this one came from C-shape. And in that group, who is the specific farmer? Therefore, the requirement is that we must have a mechanism of tracing back. Where did the product come from? If it is in the process of aggregation, where farmers bring their produce together, we have an aggregator, or what we can call in a conventional way a middleman. It must be known that this person got this produce from this group or from these farmers, and it can be traced from the market all the way to production. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we have learned a lot about certification, but we cannot rule out KEBS. There are 2 types of certification, the organic and KEBS. So for farmers, you also need KEBS. So I want to direct a question to Madam Christine. So how is KEBS supporting farmers in terms of certification of products, especially those involving cross-border trade? And you know, here we are agroecological farmers. You can tell us what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I hope you can hear me. My voice is a bit kind of unique. So, like I said, I was trying to hide a bit earlier, but not for bad reasons, for good reasons, because I wanted to give us an opportunity this time. Now, the mandate of KEBS is actually to promote aspects of trade. So let me just say that established in 1974 under the Standards Act, CAP 496, the mandate is to provide standards-based solutions that result in quality products, safe products, innovations, improve on trade, environmental wellness, and generally quality life. So that is the core purpose and the core mandate of KEBS. Now, how do we deliver this? We deliver this through, I would shorten it to just say S, M, and CA. S, M, and CA. You can memorize that. S is for standards. M is for metrology. CA is for conformity assessment. So I'll briefly mention each one of them. Now, you heard him say that for certification to take place, there has to be standards. So what is a standard? A standard is just requirements, basic requirements that are provided to guide the production and trade in a quality and safe product. And for this standard to be recognized as so, there are certain processes that are followed. It must be a formal document that is kind of legally established through a very formal process. We call it the standards development process. And the process is quite lengthy, and the reason it is lengthy is because it wants to input from all the relevant stakeholders so that when the document is finally released for use by the public, as many experts have been involved, and experts involve even the producers themselves. So it goes through a series of steps. I think it cannot take less than 12 months for that process to be over. because there is what we call the working draft, committee draft, draft standard, and then the final standard. And then after it's released to the public, before it goes to the public also, it has to be approved by a recognized body. So in Kenya, it would be approved through a process that is mandated through the Kenya Bureau of Standards. And then after approval, it is gazetted. Now, each one of us here can participate in the development of a standard. There are various ways in which you can participate. You can join a relevant technical committee, like now we have a committee on organic products, organic production. You can apply to be a member of that technical committee. In addition to that, we have one of the standards development process, which is called a public review, which should be at least 60 days. And during those 60 days, the document is available to the public through, you can actually access it now through our website. So I encourage each one of you to just go to the KEBS website, interact with it. See, there's a lot of information there that can even help you to interact with KEBS, and also to know what services KEBS is offering and how you can access them. So at the public review stage, any stakeholder is able to submit comments. So a lot of times we get surprised when after the standard is published, someone comes and says, oh, this one is not okay because of X, Y, Z. And then we are like, where were you during the public review stage? Because at the public review, the document is actually even notified at the WTO. You had the representative from trade talk about WTO. That is where this information is exchanged. Each country globally notifies the world, what standards are you developing? What stage are you at? This is now at the public review stage. You avail the document exactly as is, so that the entire world can scrutinize that document. And why is it important for that step? It is because we are not trading just within Kenya. We are trading across borders. So those who want to bring in products into Kenya or out of Kenya, they want to be sure that that document is relevant to them. It is applicable. It will not bring what we call technical barriers to trade. So they scrutinize the document. If there are issues, they raise them up, and then they are addressed through the technical committee. So it's a lengthy process, and you can get informed. For example, the East African Organic Standard. We are now in 3rd edition. It was recently revised. How many of us participated in that standard? Are we even aware that it's been revised now? So we now have a new version, the 3rd edition of that standard. We should, if we are really serious about agroecology, organic production, we should have participated in the development of that standard. So enough of the standards. So the standards are very, very important, because it is against, for example, against that East African standard that COAN is able to do business. Because now certification will be done, assessment for certification will be done against that standard. Metrology. Metrology is simply not the weather, not meteorology, it's metrology. That is the science of measurements. Measurements, very, very important. You heard someone talk about fair trade. Fair trade and weights and measures. It means that if you're weighing a kilogram, it is actually a kilogram. If it is 1 liter, it is actually 1 liter. Very, very important. And In that, we provide services of what we call calibration to make sure that whatever equipment you're using, whether it's a weight, whether it's temperature, it is giving you accurate measurements. And why is that critical? Imagine if you went to see a doctor, then they measure you and they tell you you have high blood pressure because of using a faulty equipment. What happens? You start being treated for something that is not there. So metrology and aspects of calibration are very, very important. Or you're using a cooler, and then the temperature, whatever equipment you're using to measure the temperature gives you the wrong temperature readings. So you've set at 2 degrees, and then it shows you it's 2. Kumbe, it is actually 6. What happens to your produce? It is damaged. So metrology is very, very important. So KEBS provides that service to ensure that your products and your production process, you're able to produce safe and quality products for your trade. And then now we have conformity assessment. We do that in 3 aspects. There's testing, laboratory testing. I think that was, someone mentioned that. Things like pesticide residues, aspects of microbial aspects, and other chemical tests. And then we have the aspect of quality assurance. That is where you see now officers coming to your industry, factories, and all that to guide you through implementation of good practices that make sure that the product that you produce is actually quality and it is safe for release into the market. And then there is inspection. This one mainly happens at the border posts, where products coming in or going out are inspected at the border. Have you checked XYZ? Sometimes they take samples. They are guided by certain procedures to make sure that the products coming in or the products that are going out are quality and safe. And then there is market surveillance that is also done. That is where officers go into the market and they actually check that the products in the market are actually quality, they're safe products. Now, inspection, I'll dwell a bit on that. That is because that's where the cross-border trade comes in. Within East Africa, earlier we saw something like East African Community Common Market Protocol. Now, to facilitate that protocol, we have also what we call SQMT protocol. That is mainly just standards measurements, conformity assessment, let's say, aspects, which enables countries to recognize each other's marks of quality. He talked about a mark of quality for organic products. Unfortunately, that one is not yet in the system. So there's work there. I don't know who will lead it, or either Pelham or Kwan, because now that needs to come into that space so that the Kilimo High mark can also be recognized regionally. And it is very helpful because if a product has a TBS mark, it means that Kenya will recognize under that protocol. If a product from Kenya has that standardization mark, then Tanzania or the member countries of the East African Community will be able to recognize that. Very important, first of all, because it provides that assurance, a quick, fast way of trade, because once you have the standardization mark, then you don't have to do other certifications because it will be recognized across the border. And then let me also say that we have a certification body. Recently, I think in July, we were accredited to provide certification on sustainability dimensions, sustainability standards, aspects of eco-labels, and organic production is one of those. So as recent as July. And I had some communication earlier with Cohen in another meeting. I know Cohen doesn't do the certification direct. You use certification bodies. So we were having this engagement that there's some aspect there that you can take advantage of for the benefit of the producers. If you use KEBS, rather than any other certification body, because you had that it's possible to recognize marks, which means it is possible that if a product has Kilimo High mark, it can be excused from the standardization mark, or it can have both at a far fairer price than if you have to do both the S mark and also for the Kilimo High. So again, I request you to engage with KEBS so that you can develop that a good product. And then of course we have a quality institute where we carry out a lot of trainings, especially on aspects of, let me say, with regard to agro-production aspects of food safety. So people can also approach for those trainings. And he said that group certification is possible, which means group training is also possible. It will be cheaper if you can look in terms of group formations. When you're groups, then things will be much cheaper. I think there's a whole lot to say. Let me just summarize. Let me end there.
Thank you. I think we learned a lot from you. And this is not the end, like I said, we'll networking. So I now move to KRA Customs, specifically Customs. And I want to ask Mr. Eli Mutai, what are the requirements for smallholder farmers, especially agroecological farmers who are doing cross-border trade? Like at the border, what are the requirements they need to meet? Yeah.
Good afternoon. I want to start by saying that when you are doing cross-border trade, then you need to use designated and gazetted crossing points, because we know that our borders, there are so many porous points that people can use to cross over. But when we are in this forum, it's good for us to sensitize the public that it is illegal to use any other route except that which is gazetted and by law established. Having said that, I must also say that Kenya Revenue Authority, and specifically Customs, is keen on identifying and giving preference to MSMEs, because there is need, first of all, to expedite the process of moving goods and passengers across the borders, and also to simplify the process and reduce the cost that is attached. Therefore, when you come to the border with your goods, you, in the event you are exporting, you only need to do a declaration. A declaration is called an entry. So you produce your documents, and first of all, when you are loading your goods in the means of conveyance, you should present yourself to the nearest customs office, because there should be an officer who should witness the staffing of your produce in your means of conveyance, whether it's a truck or any other means. So the officer should be able to witness and confirm that actually the produce that you are conveying is what is declared in your entry document. When an officer is certified that you have declared your goods properly, then you also present an invoice and any other documents that you might be asked by the officer to support your transaction. When you have presented those documents, your goods will be processed and allowed to cross over to the border. Let me clarify that there is exemptions on exports in terms of taxation. There are only a few select items that attract an export levy, but most of our exports in terms of agricultural produce are exempt from taxation. And let me also say that in the event you are importing, because sometimes we also have goods that are produced in other partner states like Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, crossing over to Kenya. So in the event you are dealing in those goods, then there are two categories that we use for declaration. And the categories are discriminated based on the value of the goods. So when you are dealing with, when your consignment is worth 2,000 USD and less, you qualify to use a simplified trading regime, which, like the name suggests, requires less details, and actually you present yourself as a trader to the officer at the border point which you are using to cross, and the officer will be able to feed the documents that you have presented. You'll be able to attach in the system, and he will be able to produce for you a document which you can use in either paying for the duties that are due, or in the event that your goods do not attract any duties, you will use that document to present to any other agency that will require proof of documentation. So if you are dealing in a consignment worth $2,000 and below, in the event that your consignment is worth more than $2,000, then you will need to engage an agent. In this case, they are agents who are issued with for them to be able to access our integrated customs management systems. Those agents will do the declaration on your behalf, but it's you to provide all the documents necessary for you to cross. Let me identify the documents that are mostly required. You will need, as a mandatory document, you will need an invoice. So you will need an invoice that shows where you have bought your goods, the consignee, and in the event that you are using an agent, the name of the agent. It will the invoice also should specifically quote the value of the goods, so that we are able to either determine that you are using the simplified trade regime, or you will go through the more rigorous process of declaring the consignments. The other document that is mandatory, and actually it was clearly stipulated in the Finance Act, in the it was clearly stipulated in the Finance Act, a document, the certificate of audit, is a document that is issued by the Revenue Authority of the originating
If your goods are originating from Kenya, we'll issue you with a certificate of origin, which
Thank you. I'm sure we have learned one or two things we were not aware. As we finish the first series of questions, now we go to a farmer from Busia. Her name is Angeline Ebu. And my question to you is, what are the opportunities and challenges you are experiencing as a cross-border trader for agroecological products? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have so many challenges facing us. And most of the challenges, if you are very keen, the time Mr. Kiza was presenting, they were mentioned. Maybe to just mention them in a highlight way, one of the challenges is complex regulations and custom procedures. It takes a lot of time for us. Maybe you need a document or you need clearance to bring your products to Kenya or to make them go to Uganda. You queue for a very long time. And sometimes we carry perishable goods. So by the time you are done with the procedures, the goods are already spoiled. Another thing is corruption and harassment. Sometimes we prefer to go for smuggling because of corruption. Yeah, because I have small, like 2 sacks of maize or sorghum, when I go through the border, wananiambia hapo tunahitaji hii, tunahitaji hii, tunahitaji hii. Mimi kwa mfuko yangu nilikuwa na pesa ya kununua hiyo mahindi peke yake. Ni nini itanisababisha nisitumie njia ya magendo? That is another challenge. Then, hapo kwa harassment, mwanamke akishikwa, si mimi nimetumia njia ya smuggling, ama nishikwe tu hapo kwa custom kwenyewe niambiwe kaa chini, kaa chini, kaa chini, leta mizigo. Si unaona tayari I've been harassed. Na unajua mimi ni mkulima mdogo. I'm not that much enlightened. Wakiniambia nikae chini tayari nimekaa chini, na nilikuwa nasafirisha mizigo yangu na baiskeli. Mtu wa baiskeli tayari ameenda, simjui. Where will I get my goods? Loss over loss. Another thing is consistent and evolving exchange rates. At the border, the currencies, they fluctuate more oftenly. Leo nimeenda kama exchange rate iko 26, kesho nimeenda iko 31. So, inaturudisha nyuma. Kitu kingine ni GBV. Women face a lot of gender-based violence when carrying their trade, their businesses. Hiyo GBV inaendana na child labor. Mimi nauza ndizi Kenya. Okay, wacha ni deal kwanza na side ya child labor. Mimi nauza ndizi Kenya. Niko na mtoto anafaa aende shule, lakini kwa sababu sijamit hiyo target yangu ya school fees na nini, my child will be forced to go sell banana with me. Na sitambebesha ndizi mbili, sinataka abebe uteo mzima ya ndizi. Wale wenye wamekuwa kwa boda wameona. Mtoto wa miaka 12 anabeba uteo iko na bunches 10 za ndizi. So you all know how heavy the bananas are. Nayo ni kutoka asubuhi mpaka jioni. Ndizi moja ni shilingi 10. Huyo mtoto kwa hiyo ndizi sijampatia hata, sijasabua excess hata moja yake ya kukula. Si nikipatwa na watu wa gender based violence wa child abuse, watasema mimi nina abuse huyo mtoto. Lakini in real sense, na I'm trying to make the ends meet. Another thing, inadequate border infrastructures. Hapo kwa inadequate border infrastructures, one, we only have one way. Sindio? Kwa border ni njia moja. And that njia is so much congested. Trailer zote ni hapo. Pedestrians ni hapo. Pikipiki ni hapo. So, baiskeli zote ni hapo, si ndio? Mtu wa hizi trailers au heavy trucks na mimi wa baiskeli, ni nani atatokewa kwa njia? Wa trailer, si ndio? Ndio amebeba goods mingi. Yes. But hata mimi sinafaa nipeleke vyangu viuzwe. Yeah. So hizo ni challenges ambazo tuna face. I've just mentioned them in an highlight way. But if you are very keen, Mr. Kiza, explain them in a detailed manner. About the opportunities, one, to access a larger market. Sindio, we have access to larger markets and new products. Mimi nikienda Uganda na wimbi, I'll get cow from Uganda. Cow, the piece. Yeah. Nguvu, thank you.
Thank you. Makofi kwa all the panelists. We had another round of questions, but I think we want to open the floor, right? Kuna watu wako na maswali? Before niendelee na zangu. Okay. Panelists, questions are coming, so you'll note down your questions. So when you ask a question, direct it to someone. Ndio, kama ni wote, sema wote. Kama ni moja specifically, just say, you can say the organization if you don't remember the name. So maybe just raise your hand. The orders I've seen, Samson, cross-border, Nia, then at the back, there are 2 ladies, and then we take another round. So if you get a chance, just try to ask all your questions in brief. So you come in, I think, mtakuja hapa, so that the live is very good. Everyone who has a question, come here. Tutaenda na line. Just be very brief. Don't give stories. Just give your question.
Thank you very much, panelists. I think that was a really great job that you all did. I will direct my first question to, first is the comment to, I don't remember the madam for KEBS. Maybe if I say KEBS, we'll know who. First, I think I would like to say that I think it will be very, very important for farmers and organizations that are working with farmers to see the synergy between KEBS and corn. This is because if the Kilimo Hai mark is allowed to be used like the standardization mark, I think this will help us not to have so many marks meaning the same thing, and it will mean less money for the that can be used by the farmers. The question that goes to you is about, we all hear that at the airports, the food that goes outside to other countries, they are thoroughly checked. This is for the consumers outside the country. But I think this lacks within Kenya, because like all the produce that are sent to our local markets, they are not checked like the way we check for watu wa nje. So here sometimes we feel like watu wa nyumbani wanaachiliwa, tunafikiria wale wako nje. For corn, maybe the question could be the cost for the third party, and the cost, so that at least people can understand how much it costs. And you also mentioned that it will be important to work with them and also corn to ease in the process. And I think the other thing is that corn, the Kilimo Hai mark is widely known in the country at the moment, but of course we need to continue to talk more about it so that people may know about it. And this will be good, because once it continues to be known like this, I think it will ease the process. It will ease working together with KEBS. I think that's all I had, and thank you. And I thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Richard Mahulo. Richard Mahulo is from Busia Cross Border Traders Association, Sector Kenya Long Distance Truck Drivers and Allied Workers Union. This question cuts across. Maybe the KEFIs have not, the KEFIs are not around, but they will assist each other. It's directed to KEFIs and agriculture. You know, as you know, farming is at the heart of Kenyans' economy and the key of the well-being of its people. Now, yet the use of harmful pesticides, called highly hazardous pesticides, has put our health, our food, and our environment in a danger. How are we going to help us, assist us? I have heard Kizia was saying about the policy to make it, to assist us pressurize for the policy so that we can also chip in as association. Second question, many of these pesticides are banned in other parts of the world, but are still widely used here. What measures, as you have heard, the biosafety authority are supporting GMO, and we are agitating for agroecological. How to assist us so that we can harmonize our thoughts together. And then the last question, they have toxic residues on our food. Our health damage the soil and kills bees and other helpful insects that are essential for farming. Like the trucker drivers, we are the people who are transporting across the border. Can we be assisted in making our clearing of the truck easier, so that
our KRA will assist us on clearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I know you've called me Nia, but my name is Hesbon. Nia is the organization. Congratulations to the panelists. I'm well impressed with the way you guys have asked with your roles. I have two questions and a comment. The first one goes to corn. I'm happy that you mentioned that what you certify is the process. Because they say a product is as good as the process. But I just wanted to understand, how do you track that process up to the point where you are confident to certify, bearing in mind the culture of your people, that we love shortcuts, even if it is something that benefits you. But for us Kenyans, in most instances, the end justifies the means. The second question is to Kebs, my sister from my county. You've talked about the public review process. And if I got you right, I think it mirrors to the constitutional requirement of public participation. But I'm just wondering how that process is citizen friendly. That neighbor of ours in Aroi, how do they know that there's a public review process that is going? Where do they deposit their views? Communities, in this case, I'm talking about their community. How does the community participate to give their views, to give their comments, to give their suggestions to improve the process? And then lastly is the farmer, the lady from Busia, the farmer. She has raised very fundamental things. But I think this goes to all the agencies that are manning our border points. We have a culture in this country of militarizing enforcement and compliance. I think it's a high time KRA, KEBS, KEFIS, and all the other agencies, we need to demilitarize these processes, make it community friendly, make it open, make it, because many a times why we militarize them is because we want to run away from accountability and transparency. Because we benefit, I'm not saying you people here, but I'm saying that militarization benefit is the one that breeds corruption, is the one that breeds all these other things. So when we demilitarize these processes and make them open and accountable and responsive to the needs of the community, then I think it will go a long way to address the challenges that our sister enumerated. Thank you.
Thank you. Two more, and then you respond.
Yeah, I'll be brief. As I said, my name is Marion Ambani from SNV. So two questions to the county government of Busia. So my first question is that you said that as a directorate, you're very keen also on providing the farmers with loans. So I would like some clarification from your end in terms of the model. Is it that as a county government, you have like some funds somewhere that you use to give to the farmers and interested also in the interest rates, or is it through third-party financing in terms of now you offering the connections to the financial institutions? And then my second question still to you, county government. We've had quite a number of challenges that were raised by our farmer. So as a county government, in terms of interventions, what is it that you are doing to try sort out those problems? And I'm keen on what she mentioned on regulations as well as corruptions, harassment and all that. By any chance, do you have any policies being implemented at county level that really protects our farmers who are really involved in the cross-border trade and all that? And my last question goes to our dear farmer. That was really good. So I wanted to understand from you, you mentioned a challenge still on regulations and the lengthy process, and you mentioned that
at the end of the day, sometimes the goods are perishable and you go at a loss and all that. So from where you sit, have you thought of a way of trying to reduce the post-harvest losses of your goods? Because if you're working with a perishable product and you know that maybe it goes bad so fast, so from your end, what interventions or what strategies have you really put in place to try mitigate the post-harvest losses? Thank you.
The last person, and then we take the responses.
Thank you very much. I had like 11 questions. 5 have been asked. 6 have been asked already. And the second last of that the lady raised about the farmer, those are pertinent issues. Maybe to add on that, the KRA and KEPS from, not KEPS, KRA from the county level, government of Busia, we have a count desk next to your office. And most of the complaints that have been raised, my colleague Daisy at the county has always raised with you. So please, if you are responding to that when you go back, you can even go to our account desk and see some of the complaints there, then you can put them together. So let me go to the questions. Koan, do you have a repository of the business and the businesses, farmer groups, and maybe farmers that you have given the certification mark? Reason why I'm asking is because we are usually asked, yes, you are telling us to consume organic or agroecologically produced food. So where do we find this food? So do you have where this is found? Number 2, where is the starting point? I would like to ask Koan still. So yes, I'm a farmer, like myself and my sister, Penina. And actually, this also goes to Pelham. I think we need a repository of agroecological farmers. There are some of us who are doing agroecology at our own level, but we are not known anywhere. So I want to be certified. We want to be certified. So where is the starting point? Do we write a letter of expression to you so that we can start that process, or where do we start from? Then we go, what are you talked about traceability. That touches on a consumer, kabisa. So if I want to trace that product to the source as a consumer, have you availed the mechanism that we can be used to trace that product to the source? And to KEPS, there's the sustainability mark. Do we have a sample of that? Has it already started? And what do you expect from you as the next steps? Then now, on these standards from Koan and KEPS, are they renewed? Or once unatupatia, we stay forever, tuko na hiyo mark, we can use it forever. Are there means and ways to renew that? Does it take like a year, 2 years, or 3 years? And what is the process? Thank you.
Thank you. I think now we give them a chance to respond.
Okay, thank you so much. I will start first by responding on the issue of funds. Under the Department of Trade, we have 2 funds. That is Busia County Trade Revolving Fund, that is domiciled under the Directorate of Trade and Markets. The second fund under the department is Cooperative Enterprise Development Fund. The first fund, the Trade Revolving Fund, mostly we give to SMEs, individual SMEs. And it's funded by national government. Also, the second fund under the department, mostly this deals with SACCOs. We have a Directorate of Cooperatives that deals with registration of SACCOs and ensure compliance. So after the registration of SACCOs or cooperatives, this other directorate that deals now with cooperative enterprise development funds now is in charge of offering loans to these SACCOs. The other fund that we have in county government of Busia is the Agricultural Development Fund, and I would like to request to rope in my colleagues from the Department of Agriculture to respond on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Yeah, we have the Agriculture Development Fund, which is a revolving fund. This fund is a startup loan for farmers that is used as capital. So we give the farmers to initiate the farming exercise, be it crop farming, be it livestock, be it fish, several enterprises. And along the agriculture value chains, we also have, in different nodes, we have off-takers. So we've been able also to finance off-takers who are able to now to buy goods from the farmers. We also finance the ones selling the input, the agro-dealers. So any business across the agriculture value chain is supported by that fund. And the repayment is 5%. And up to now, we've had more than 3,000 beneficiaries who've benefited from this kitty. That is ADF, and maybe I could respond something that was said earlier. Mr. Coco raised the issue of the bad pesticides. This is a mandate given to pests and control pests. Pest Product Control Board. They're the ones who regulate, they train, they capacity build people on the safe use of pesticides. And also KEFIS, who are our partner sister parastatal, are domiciled at the border. They do the checks on phytosanitary standards. This includes checking on the residues on pests, pesticides used in produce, the aflatoxin, which is a major problem of our produce in Busia. We produce so well, but we have challenges in post-harvest handling, where our produce has been traced with aflatoxin. So that is what we are now addressing. For grains, we are using Aflasef in the farms, which curbs the aflatoxin levels. So that's it.
Thank you. Now we go to Koan. Oh, there's another.
The second question was about regulations to enhance cross-border trade. The national government under Kentrade Network Agency developed the single electronic window system to ease the clearance at the border. With this system, the traders are able to log in and submit their documents. And another important function that this system offers, they will not have to move from one state agency to another to submit their forms. Once it's submitted, it's shared simultaneously to other agencies so that they are cleared as fast as possible. Another good thing that the system has done to enhance cross-border trade, it has reduced the protracted delays that we have been experiencing at the border. And these traders can submit the forms at the comfort of their homes or offices. They don't have to go physically to these offices to do the submission of forms. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have a number of questions, but I will combine some of them. I'll start with Samson and combine with the gentleman about the certification process and the cost. The process of certifying the process is not an event. It's a process. It's lengthy. Because as I said earlier, we start from the farm, including the farm inputs, the seeds, the source of farm inputs in terms of pesticides, and fertilizer or manure. Therefore, it is not something which is cheap. It depends on where your farm is, what you are interested in producing, where you want to market it. Therefore, it requires a number of actors. We have inspectors who must come to the field, to your farm, inspect, determine whether indeed your application for certification can be accepted. Because you can have a farm where it is likely to be polluted, not from your activities, but from the surrounding environment. That one we don't certify. The process itself is long, including up to the final end where the product will be sold. Therefore, it requires sufficient time. This, in essence, will increase the cost because we will be having staff going, checking, sometimes testing, including the soil, to be sure that it is not contaminated at the beginning. Therefore, it is costly, sometimes can go up to $500,000, depending on what you want to do. And that's why we bring on board the concept of PGS, which lessens the cost, because you are assessed as a group and not an individual. Having that said that, therefore, it requires some time. And to attach it to the other question from the lady is from CGA, is that the process, you can initiate it from COAN, come, request that you want to be certified. Then from there, we call ourselves supported certification. We support you. We just first take you through the process before you decide whether you want to be certified. We explain. We support you with no cost in terms of making sure that you understand what are the requirements, what is required, and where is the starting point, and the steps that you will take. Where the services are free, you are informed. Where you like to pay, for example, the certification bodies, you have to pay, not to COAN, but the individual bodies. Where the inspectors are available free, you have to transport them to the farm. Therefore, the costs are different, and we make sure that you understand it very clearly. In the issues to do with where do you now find the food? Where do you find this produce? We have one lady here from Sylvia's Basket. Where are you? Yeah, she can tell you. That is one of the outlets where you can get the food, which is organic. Sylvia's Basket knows the traceability mechanism that COAN utilizes. That if the food is bad, we can say where it came from, including the individual who produced that one. Using the participatory guarantee system is that if you are in a group and the food has is condemned or is bad, the entire group will bear the cost. That is one way of making sure that the group members watch over one another to ensure that there is production that is safe. Apart from Sylvia's Basket, we have also Fine Aromas. We have Carrefour Supermarket. You can go to a section where we have organic products. We have a market in Kilimani, where we have, I think it's on Saturday. The market is exclusively for organic produce. We have another one in Kikuyu, which I think is on Saturday as well, where you go and buy organic produce only. This food is produced and brought to the market by the farmers. In Moranga County, we have Gatanga Organic Farmers Center, where you go any day and you buy organic. Same to Kirinyaga County, we have a market in Makutano, another one in Kagio, another one in Kutus and Kerugoya, where you go and buy organic products. We are widening to Machakos, Kiambu, and other areas, and also some parts of Nakuru. Therefore, we have a system where when the food leaves the farmer to the market, even if it is through aggregation in large quantities, we have labels that can be sufficient enough to trace the food from to the source. And these numbers or these identifiers are given to the individual producers. If you are a large-scale producer, you are given a single identifier. When the food is found to be contaminated in any way, it is easy to identify. In terms of the standards, yes, you apply once, you are inspected, but impromptu assessments, irregular assessment at any point, at the farm, at the market, transportation are carried out. They are irregular. It does not mean that if you have come to your farm today, we cannot come tomorrow. They are not mentioned, and they are done objectively. Once you get the license, it is renewed yearly, including the mark that you get from Kwan and the certification that you get from the third party. It is renewable. And I want to talk about tracking the process of certification. We usually assist the people who have applied to understand how far they are from getting it. And we work hand in hand with the applicant to ensure that you understand what is happening, where are the delays. If you need to improve your environment before you move to the next stage, we will just explain to you that. We, as COAN, have identified these challenges, as it was stated by one of the questions, is that sometimes the food that goes to the external market is monitored. But what we consume locally, it is not. It's quite unfortunate, and we have been talking as COAN that here we are talking about agroecology, organic, right? It's almost one, but we are going to eat lunch now. Is it organic? Is it agroecological? We are moving to the direction where we want hotels that can resonate to what we are talking in terms of what? Food. If you don't offer those services, we move to the next one. That is one of the start. In crops is inevitable, especially the fresh produce, tomatoes, kales. We undertook a study, which we are about to publish maybe in a month's time, undertook a study on how to minimize or reduce the residues at the household level. This is in combination with Kenyatta University, University of Nairobi, the Route to Food initiative of Heinrich Böll Stiftung, and GSI laboratory from Germany. We are coming with methods which we will inform household members. If you suspect that the food might be having pesticide residues, use these methods to minimize, not to completely remove all of them, but you minimize to some degrees. And the study will come out and we will share with the stakeholders so that you can understand what you are supposed to do at the household level, especially if you have now the food which is contaminated. What do you do? And the results will shock you. I don't know which method you use. I have a mom here, she can tell us one of the methods she uses at the household to deal with food that you suspect has what? Pesticides. And then we will learn more because it is inevitable. The food that we consume is not tested. The one for external market, it is monitored very clearly. Last but not least, I am also, as I've talked about Kirinyaga and Murang'a County, also pointing out to Busia County, the Trade Department and Agriculture is here. There is a deliberate move by these counties have stated to have stalls within the county markets for organic produce, specifically, branded and marked. Yeah. For example, if you go to Kangari, there's an upcoming market there. They have some areas where they have specifically marked for what? Organic. They will be branded and stated this is organic and handed over to people who are dealing with what? Organic. It is now a challenge to that. Can you also think along the same line that you deliberately segment? I've talked about the markets. You give a market today specifically for what? Organic products. That this is Wednesday, what is coming to this market is only what? Organic. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those very many questions. Okay, I'll try to respond to them. About the synergy between KEBS and COAN, I think that one is already in the pipeline. We've already identified that need. And the onus is on COAN to drive the process because we have the systems in place that COAN and stakeholders can make use of. With regard again to exports, I think he has talked a lot about that. But it's also important to note that the aspects of conformity assessment crosses across many regulators. For For example, there's KEFIS, there's AFA. KEFIS and AFA are the ones who are mostly involved with fresh produce. With regard to KEBS, we do not selling locally or you're exporting. So what I would say is that we have a national SPS committee where we discuss some of these things. Like we are having this challenge. Exports seem to be better treated than the local. So what are we doing about it? We have standards to guide the aspects of safety of produce, whether local or being exported. But why is it not happening? One of them, of course, is the capacity, the aspects of capacity for these relevant institutions. The other one would mainly be lack of participation from the consumer end. So it is also important for those who are involved in trade and those also who are involved in consuming the product. We need to have that kind of a synergy. The other one is also working in collaboration with the counties. I'm very happy to hear that they now have systems and processes for checking aspects of SPS. So we are establishing those networks quite keenly. If you've heard of the KS 1758, it's mainly on horticulture products. So we realize that to have a higher impact, we need to engage with the counties. So actually, again, it's also important to note that we have regulations in place. You know, all those things to do with pesticide residues, NBA, Biosafety Authority issues. And whenever these institutions are putting policies in place, I think every institution sets out a policy, a notice that there is going to be public participation in X, Y, Z to discuss this policy. It is important as a farmer to be on the checkout for these notices whenever they are set out. Also, again, the county government is very important in this dimension. So we usually urge the county representatives in relation to agriculture to really be present, and not just present as themselves, but present as representatives of their counties, as in they have gone around talking to farmers, they've known what their issues are, and when they come to these policy setting processes and systems, they're not just presenting their own views, they are presenting views that they've collected from the publics right at the grassroots. It's very important for the county governments to be involved at that level. So we make sure that we involve the county government in as much as is possible. With regard to the public review process, again, I wish to state that in the National Technical Committee, it is a multi-stakeholder forum, which means it is not just the experts, it's not the professors. I said that we involve all cadres of publics, but also it is important to know that when these technical experts or the technical committee members come to the table, again, they're not just presenting their own views. It is expected that if you're representing an organization or an institution, you've actually engaged with your publics, the publics that you represent. For example, if it's a consumer organization representative, that representative has consulted their stakeholders so that when they come to the table, they are presenting the views of these stakeholders. So even for county government representatives, and I urge county governments to make sure that you have representatives in these technical committees. You have engaged your publics, even at the most local level, so that when you come to present your views, or when you look at the document that we are presenting, you are sure that this standard can actually be implemented by that farmer at the grassroots level. That is the importance of having it at multi-stakeholder level where different publics are represented, different views are presented and discussed, and that the final document is supposed to be feasible. It's supposed to be possible to be applied by anyone, whether it's large scale or small scale, whether someone is learned or not. It's supposed to be a tool that is supportive, not punitive. With regard to sustainability mark, the Kenya Bureau of Standards does not have a sustainability mark. What we are is, we were accredited to certification of sustainability standards. Now, what does that mean? It means that the certification body was assessed and evaluated and found to have the competence to undertake this kind of certification. We can assess, we can evaluate, and then recommend. For example, if it's corn has come to KEBS. They want us to certify X, Y, Z through their processes and systems. KEBS is now competent to undertake certification on behalf of corn. So at the moment, what we have is a collaboration or some kind of an agreement or an MOU with the African Standards Body. It's called the ECOMAC Africa. I don't know how many of us are aware. It is a sustainability process that is driving sustainability throughout Africa, and mainly to benefit the aspects of SCFTA, so that if your products are said to be agroecological, you can market them anywhere in Africa if you have the ECOMAC Africa label. Again, it's also good to consider that corn, you can also look at a way of collaborating with ARSO. It's the African Standards Body. They have this very good label, ECOMAC Africa, and it is designed to enable producers to grow from zero agroecological processes. You uptake the systems and processes, and then you grow, you mature, and into excellence. It is a very good system. So right now, they do not have exactly an organic process, but they have a sustainability process. What they have is an eco-label. And it is a good certification process because it's a third party. Third party is very, very important. The others can be greenwashed. Greenwashed means kubandika kitu tu hapo na unasema it is organic or it is green or it's whatever label that you're going to use. But if it has an ECOMAC, then you're assured and you're confident. And it is also globally recognized. So instead of them developing a new process and system, which they're attempting to do now, Cohen can take that opportunity and jump in very quickly and do a system of maybe that mutual recognition agreement or something called benchmarking, so that if a product has Cohen, again, it can also use the ECOMAC Africa label. I think that's all.
Good afternoon once again. I know we are late for lunch, but I hope you will be able to listen to what I have to say. And there are 3 items that have come up that two of them are related, And one of them is that there is a lengthy dwell time that traders are exposed to when they are crossing the border. And as much as I want to sympathize with the traders, I also want to highlight the issues that the government, through customs, KRA, has tried to implement certain measures to help to expedite the process of clearance through the border. First of all, there is automation of our processes now. So by automation, it means that if you already have your documents ready before you arrive at the border, you are able to upload them to our systems, and your documents can be processed even before the arrival of your goods. This is a very good forum for us to maybe disseminate the information that you do not need to wait for you to arrive at the border with your goods, and yet you have been traveling maybe for 4 hours, for 5 hours on the road. You are able to upload the documents early in time so that when it comes for you to come to the border, then the only thing that you will be doing is the verification process, which will be expedited depending on the nature of your goods. We are human. We also know that there are goods that are perishable in nature, and if they stay for long, then they go to waste, and the traders incur huge losses. We want to avoid this, and we want to encourage our people to do business and to gain, because we cannot tax poverty. We cannot tax loss. We only tax income. So if you earn, the more you earn, the more we tax. And that is beautiful for us. So we want you to come to the border, stay for 5 minutes, 15 minutes, be on your way. If you're going to Kampala, spend 15 minutes and go your way. If you're going to Arusha, you're going to Dar es Salaam, don't take 5 hours in the border. We want you to help us submit the documents beforehand. We can process your documents, and then by the time you come in, just confirmation that these are the goods that we are declared against this entry, therefore they comply. We do not need to do any further verification. That is what we do. The other thing that came up is that there is, I think this is Angeline who said that there is inadequate infrastructure in the OSBP, and like I said, it also ties with the dwell time, because the fact that we have a traffic jam that sometimes stretches for maybe 5 kilometers. In Malaba, we have sometimes traffic that stretches for 40 kilometers. This is not a good picture for us. And as much as we want to implement processes that can go quickly, we must also guard the interests of KRA, because if we allow everybody to pass without paying taxes, then we lose a lot. And if we lose a lot, you lose a lot. So I sympathize with that, but the fact that we are now able to access the systems early enough, we are able to, if you are dealing in goods that I said qualify for the simplified trade regime, for goods that are worth less than $2,000, you do not need to be subjected to the rigorous process of verification and whatnot. So when you use that system, you are able to spend less and less of time at the border. And I must say that as KRA, the mandate of our commissioner is now broadened to be able even to go to stakeholders. I've had my colleague from KEPS saying that they are doing stakeholder engagements. So even us as KRA, we are focused on enlightening the taxpayer so that the taxpayer does not use illegal means when the cost of even accessing that illegal process is much higher than using the right means. And I want to look at Angeline and ask, plead with you. If you represent people and you have another forum that you are in, plead with them that KRA is now a friendly organization and it has come to you. We seek your help to tell your colleagues that it is better, it is cheaper, it is helpful for the government and for yourself to come through the one-stop border post. Because apart from the taxes that we collect, we also do trade statistics collection. We want, at the end of the year, we are able to tell, is there a balance of trade that is favorable to Kenya, or is it favorable to the other partner state? So if you go to the Panya routes, that I know it was helpful sometimes back, but it's not helpful now. Please tell your colleagues to come to the OSPP. We are there, we are friendly, we are now trying as much as possible to avoid these harassments and what did you say? Corruption. Of course, it's a malignant tumor. Okay, it's a tumor that is in our institutions, and it's not only KRA that is affected, but we try as much as possible, all the leadership of the institution that we represent. If you were to come and report to us, be assured that the officer who is involved will be dealt with accordingly. So don't be afraid. Don't use means that will expose you, because if you go to the Panya routes and we get you, it is not the officer who harassed you that will be punished. It will be you, because when you are caught, you will face the law. Your goods will be confiscated according to the law. And when it's confiscated, you have lost everything. You might even be subjected to legal, to prosecution. You will lose time, you lose money. Sometimes even when you are going to the Panya route, you might even lose your life because it's not safe. So please, we plead with you, come to the right channel. The other thing that I said, it also ties with the dwell time, is I think Mr. Magulo was asking that we expedite the clearance processes. So I have said that already we have automated processes. The other thing is that when you go through the right channels, in this case the one-stop border post, we have in most of these border posts we have scanners, drive-through scanners. Nowadays we do not need to ask you to if you have a truck that is carrying watermelons or oranges or anything that you are carrying, we do not need you to offload everything. We do the verification and then load it again. These non-intrusive methods of investigation now help us. In 1 minute or 2 minutes, we are able to know if this is what the trader has declared. The image shows that it is consistent with what has been declared. So we take 15 minutes maximum, and you are through you are on your way to supply your goods to your market. Please, we plead with you. Let's use the right channels to access our markets in the East African region. And like I said, when you have a certificate of origin, we cannot issue a certificate of origin to somebody who is using the non-gazetted routes. So you can imagine you go to Tanzania and you want to qualify to a preferential treatment that is issued to goods that are originating from a partner state. What will you show to be able to benefit? And it's a lot of money. Sometimes, instead of paying maybe 10% in terms of import duty, that 10% is waived or is exempted. You cannot be exempted unless you have a certificate of origin. Thank you.
Okay. There was a question on the mitigation measures or perishable goods. Okay, what we are trying to do to avoid this good to perish, one, is to harvest these goods at the right time. Unafaa uharvest hizi chakula so that they can maintain their appearance and shape and the taste also. Sindio? Yeah. The second thing, you should use proper tools. Proper tools. Kama kuna zile kitu kama skuma, si wakulima mnajua jinsi tunavyotakikana kuchuna skuma. Hauvunji katikati, unatoa mwisho. Alafu jana nilisoma pia kutoka kwa ndugu yetu ambaye tulienda kumtembelea Njoro. I think nilikuwa nataka sana, inaitwa nini? Orange mint. Na akanieleza kitu fulani. Kama hautaki, like mi nataka kwenda kupanda. Nikisha pluck, nafaa nitoe matawi to maintain what? The moisture. Sio ni proper way. Another thing, you should harvest this good in cooler conditions. Kwa mfano kitu kama mboga, usingoje imefika saa 5. Busia, by the way, Busia is very hot. So kama ni kutoa mboga, toa asubuhi kama bado kuna baridi. Au jioni kabisa kama jua limeshatua, si ndio? Usingoje saa 7 unataka kukula skuma lunch time, alafu unangoja saa 6 unaenda kuanza kufanya nini? Kupluck. There's high chances ya mmea kufanya nini? Kukauka, na kesho utafanya nini? Utakosa chakula. Another thing ni processing and preservation. Kuna zile zinatakikana kukaushwa kutumia jua, si ndio? Utachuna zingine. Kwa mfano, if you have plenty of kunde, plenty of something, si unafaa ukaushe ikauke, alafu unaipreserve for wakati kuna ukame. Hata jana tulifundishwa. Another thing ni we should improve our storage facilities. We improve storage facilities, like we can use hermetic bag na pia improve ventilation. Matunda ukivuna, ukiweka mahali kuna joto sana na unataka uiuze maybe next week, so utapata ime-spoil. So where you are storing these goods should be well ventilated. Thank you.
Thank you. Makofi kwa panelists wetu. Goja, the point.
Okay, just before we wrap up, there's something I would like to add on what my co-panelists have said on establishing designated organic markets or market days. I'd like to use this opportunity to encourage farmers or traders from Busia County to organize themselves so that we can be able to get their data. Through this data, we'll be able now to make informed decision in terms of coming up with policies that will enable us to create market days and also establish markets. A case example, if you go to Busia, there's a market for fish, purely fish trade. So with that data, with us as county government, we'll be able to make sure we work on the market or the market days. Thank you.
Thank you. There was a question to Pelham from Consumer Grassroots Association about having a platform where we have a list of business or farmers that are certified. So I'm happy to tell you that there is a new project we are going to work with COAN. Initially, we only thought of PGS farmers, but now you have brought another idea about mapping out the farmers and business together. Initially, we only thought of the PGS farmers, but now I know, Wycliffe, we can take this forward to have a platform where we have mapped out all the producers, both markets and farmers. There's a question about agroecological produce, how we can trace to the source. I think once we have that platform will have like a GPS, whereby when you click, you find the name of the farmer, location, and contact, so that it's easy for you to trace. And like Wycliffe said, before you're certified, there's a lot of steps they take to trace the products. So I think, you know, you don't certify the products, you certify the farm, if I'm not wrong, yeah? And yeah, in the process. So whatever you produce there should be agroecological or organic. I think that's it. I want us to give a round of claps to our panelists, and claps zikuwe na mpango. I know they have answered very tough questions, and thank you so much. There's no beef, kila mtu hapa tunapendana, and follow them for more information. We might not have time to have all of you ask questions, but they are here with us, so you can have a lunch with them and get answered. So I want to invite one of you to give them appreciation. Who wants? Oh, come. Alafu tutasimama tutachukua picha baadaye.
Mjambo wakati huu. My name is Joseph, a colleague to Bwana Eli Motai. He's my superior and a KRA. Na umesikia kile chote ameambiwa. Nimeinua mkono ili ni kitu nikiaddress the trader. Mahali niko Isebania, I deal with the small sana, na hao ndio wako Busia na wengi nimeona wako hapa. So first, before umeanza kusafirisha mzigo wako, you want to go to Uganda, you want your consignment to come to Kenya, there is a big gap as a trader unafanya. Unaleta mzigo bila information, sawa? Ulisikia trader alisema aje, nimefuka na gunia yangu 3, na hii pesa tu ndio nilikuwa nayo ya kununua, sawa? Hapo ndio gap ya kwanza inakuwa. Kwa nini? KRA haitatoza gunia zako mahindi 3 ushuru, ni 0, sawa? Lakini kuna ukaguzi wa hiyo mzigo, sawa? When you bring your 3 sacks of maize, we have to make sure KEBS may approve, KEFIS may approve, AFA, Port Health, and you need to clarify before nilete hii gunia 3. Those offices kwa OSBP, they are open to everyone. Unaingia pale, I plan to bring 3 sacks of maize, 4 sacks of maize. What do I need from you first? Pita hizo offices zote, so that now by the time unaenda kununua, you know your cost up to the time nimetoka kwa ile gate ya OSBP. Sawa sawa? That is one gap that you can assist yourself as a trader. Because kama vile bwana ile amesema, ukishika upande wa nje, hauna certificate of origin, sawa? Kwa hivyo hata ukiniambia, okay sawa, mlilishika na mahindi gunia 5, naomba mnihesabie nilipe fine. Kama ilikuwa exempted, utalipa duties zote, ni kama hiyo mahindi imetoka China. Wekeni hiyo kwa mahali, sawa? So hapo ndio utafikiri umeharasiwa, lakini ni sheria imefua. Kwa sababu one of the things we are talking about is protecting ourselves, si ndio? Maisha yetu, afya yetu. Hiyo mahindi imepita nje, haijakaguliwa na hizo idara zote. So tumeallow aflatoxin, tumeallow kitu ambayo si agroecological probably, si ndio? And we are trying to promote these products. So if they don't pass through, utapata mzigo nje iko na hizo aflatoxins. So part of the mandate ya hizi entities zote ziko hapa is also to protect the country, ndio sawa. And then also when you are exporting, when you go to Tanzania, when you go to Uganda without our certificate of origin, the same thing happens. So mkiangalia hii kitu yote, it adds up to 1, the cost. Okay. The cost. Sawa sawa. Number 2, hizi long queues utazipunguza aje? Nishajua what is needed to be done, si ndio? For example, niulize swali, kuna mtu ambaye ana export kitu more than $2,000 ama ananunua mkono? So ni kumaanisha wale ambao wana import
una import kitu ambayo less than $2,000. Ukitaka kujua conversion ya hiyo rate iko kwa website. Unaenda tu 2,000 times the current exchange rate that is posted weekly on the KRA website. Kwa hivyo kama rate ni 100, mzigo yako iko below 200,000 shillings. Kama rate iko 150, 2,000 times 150, umepata value ya ngapi? 300, si ndio? So at one time utaleta mzigo less than 2,000. Rate ikipanda unaweza pata umenunua mzigo ya more than 300,000 hela ya Kenya. When you convert it is 2,000. Sawa sawa. So kama ni simplified trade regime, the simplified certificate of origin, sawa, from Tanzania, hiyo hata haiandikwi kwa system, si ndio? Ni mkono inaandikwa. Wewe mwenyewe unachukua karatasi hivi, unaenda unajaza, mimi naitwa Robert, nataka kununua mahindi gunia 4, sawa, kutoka Tanzania, na hiyo ndio value. Unapita kwa idara ya Tanzania TRA ya URA ya Uganda, hivyo wana approve, unaipresent kwa desk. Kugenerate that simplified document will not take the officer yule ako kwa desk. Ukinakuja tu unamwambia this is me. Na sisi tunakubaliana KRA pin sasa tuko nazo. Tunakubaliana sasa mmezi embrace KRA pins. Ukikuja tu peane KRA pin yangu ndio hii, ana feed. The first time atakuweka, atajua okay, day 1 nimejua my customer from today. Sawa? Hiyo kitu haitake even 10 minutes. Ukimaliza tu hivi, unazungusha hiyo document kwa KEBS, kwa AFA, kwa nani. Ni hapa tu, moiste iko sawa, hii iko sawa. So you can imagine an example of rice, ile mnapenda ya Tanzania. Sawa? Utapata wakati mwingine, mtu alishikwa kwa sababu alikuwa anatoroka kulipa Port Health shilingi 50 ama 100. That is a trader amebeba gunia za 50 kg kama 3. You see the penalty of kutojua? Yes. So let us familiarize ourselves first with the process. Nisikimbilie kununua mzigo Tanzania, Uganda kuleta kama sijui nini inahitajika Kenya. Number 2, jua procedure pia ya wapi mahali unapeleka. Kama nataka kupeleka mihogo Uganda, Uganda wanataka nini? KEBS before nipeleke nahitaji kupitia KEBS, nahitaji kupitia wapi, si ndio? Still under the same simplified trade regime utakuja KRA, ile tu karatasi tukupe. Sawa? Kuna ile dhana nyingine, wacha ni watoe saa hii. Tumetaja middlemen sana, si ndio? We have mentioned a lot of middlemen. Now when you are informed this middleman hata kunyorosha, okay, the industry mnasema nimenyoroshwa, si ndio? And they will use the name of KRA, KEBS and everything. So when you know that information, akikwambia naenda kununua certificate of origin, sawa, unamwambia hapana, nimebeba ndio hii, nimeprint cyber. Ama hapana, nimeendea kwa ofisi zao wameshanipea ndio hii. And then with that certificate, now where kuna regulations of export, wataenda where they will endorse that certificate of origin and you are able to export, so that even when you are exporting you have complied from your country, and even the person yule ana receive mzigo pande ile anampata an easier time. Si tumesave time hapo pote. So as Mr. Ila said, let us keep inviting, and we can also do something ile when you're coming to these borders now, maybe you can have special ones ambazo just to know the processes. Let us come tell you our processes. Let every other partner government agency tell you their processes. So, having said all that, I appreciate everyone, wale ambao, our panelists, everyone. We have learned a lot. Since yesterday, I think we've opened up our minds and opened to new ideas. So thank you so much, our panelists, and God bless you so much and everyone who has organized this. Asanteni.